What I've got to say this morning may be a little startling, but my excuse is that I come from a country whose educational policies are based in the past, trying to recreate a world of the past that's mythological, didn't actually exist, but looking for security in educational policies of an age that has gone. In the world, our educational policy making tends to be dominated by a mechanized, functionalist view of what children need and what a human being is. And we're here today to talk about reforming that. And we're not the only ones, of course, who have recognized that change is vitally necessary for the children of today, that the systems we are used to, that we grew up in and our parents grew up in, is of the past and no longer relevant to the needs of today's children. But to reform, you need a vision, a picture, a goal. Where to? Maybe you don't reach it, but nevertheless, somehow inside that we have a direction in which we're going. And I think it's a very simple direction, actually, although educational systems are complex, huge, big part of the the population work within the educational system, and bringing about change is never easy. I remember an education minister we worked with in the UK. She was rather remarkable. She was called Estelle Morris, and she'd been a teacher for 20 years in the inner city of Liverpool and ended up education minister. But she resigned. She said, "I'm not up to this." And she said, running an education system is like steering an oil tanker. You're stuck on a particular course, and it's so difficult to change. And she said, "I can't do it," which was quite extraordinary because she was very, very able and very well liked in the teaching profession. So where do we go? I think what we should think, if we think of the children first, that the goal of schools and educational practices is to make children happy. Just that. How do we make children happy in the institutions we call schools or in educational settings? Education for the children should be a pleasure. They come with their incredible curiosity when they start, a live sense of the wonder of the world and all around it. They want to learn. They want to be part of humanity. And in their eyes, you can see this joy of learning. And yet, very often, we suffocate it. It's diminished. It gets lost. And this is very sad. It's very tragic, because this sense of wonder and joy needs to pervade all our lives. And where else than in school, where they can feel secure and cared for, and people are working on their behalf with respect for them as individuals. Lifelong learning is a well-known phrase and truism, but it's based on our early childhood and young personhood experiences. That's where lifelong learning starts. And if we can create a school where children feel that joyousness of learning, that's an attitude that stays for life. It becomes part of us, of our personality, of our inner being, that learning is a pleasure. Of course, there's struggles and challenges to overcome and hard work that's needed, but we can find joy in that as well, on those achievements, those inner achievements, not in competitive achievements, that I am better than my neighbor. I can pass that test higher than the rest of the class. That competitive element is not really part of childhood. That joy of learning together, of being together, of being with all the differences that we all accommodate in our background, in our hereditary, in our culture, in our personalities. That joy of difference can be experienced in the classroom. And if we can create that there, then perhaps it'll help our social questions later. with all the struggles and disasters that we see every day through our media. Learning facts is an anachronism. We've got this. Well, I don't need to know the length of the River Nile anymore, yeah, or the height of Mount Everest, or whatever. That's there. We need something beyond that. And the children have a right to what's beyond that. The arts, music, theatre, film, gardening, sewing, cooking, all the experiential activities that are part of life. And through helping them develop and strengthen their natural creativity, instead of suppressing it, we can help them look towards the future, because they will have to solve the problems that they've inherited from us. They will have to be creative and courageous in their thinking and their doing in order to overcome what we've handed on to them. It's a very imperfect world, and our children will be struggling. We know what the struggles will be. We can see that on the horizon, how huge they will be, which they will have to take responsibility for and carry into the future for their children and future generations. But to do that, they need something, a strength within, a strength in their own being, that they feel they can do it. It's possible. And it's not a matter of just passing tests and passing exams and getting to university and then your education is finished. As I said earlier, it's a lifelong experience. We learn through life and we learn all our lives. But that is a way of thinking that I think should be encapsulated in all school policy making. Education can be joyous. An education that is joyous is healthy, because we're accommodating the child in itself, not just what we see intellectually or from our own higher perspective as being older. We have to live. Those children are our co-creators. They also make the world. They make a contribution, and they want that contribution to be respected and developed, and our job is to help them do that. So just that little thing. Schools should be places where children are happy. Let's work for that. So thank you.